Hello, and welcome to the 26th episode of When the Heart Leads, special Lionsgate 8/8 edition. I'm your host, Dr. Kate Newborough, founder of Books of Eden Publishing. And I'm ecstatic to be with you all today. Before I dive in, I have to real quick, I want to mention that I am wearing my kind of full lion regalia today. This is, if you're tuning in and you're appalled, don't worry, it's not real fur. Um, but I just had to wear this in celebration of the Lionsgate 8/8 portal that we're all entered into today. And it is just a massive time of celebration. This also marks 1 year exactly from when we began, when the heart leads. So I'm going to be looking at some ideas today around belonging and around cosmic justice and authenticity and this new cosmic wave of creation that we're stepping into now that we've all kind of calmed down from the mountain. So going all the way back to last year, I talked about how those of us who were awakened aware, we're beginning our kind of descent down the mountain into the world to give our gifts. And now what does that mean? Because it feels in some ways that we've kind of moved into the foot, you could say the foot of the mountain, and we're about to move into the world. So what is this new wave of cosmic creation, and how will it come out? So all sorts of stuff to cover today. But, first, just taking a moment, a pause, that this is our 1 year anniversary of traveling together, whether you're just jumping on or you've been with me from the beginning. It feels like a really big deal. So I want to address this question that may be a little, just to dive in, a question that may be a little confusing. Why are we starting there? It's something that I've really been encountering now that this whole year has just been, I don't know how it's felt like for all of you, but it has felt for me like a really, really powerful year of shifts, of changes, of sometimes jarring shifts and changes, sometimes very supported, but just a year that has really supported my movement into greater and greater expansion and awareness of what my true gifts really are. And it's been quite a year, and now that I'm talking kind of personally, but I also just keep getting the message that a lot of the personal things that I'm working with are also transpersonal. They're kind of representative of the larger cosmic energies. But what I'm experiencing now is that as I'm tuning in to these deeper gifts, as I'm starting to offer them, articulate them, act on them in the world, I am encountering, and now that we're kind of, if you're talking about coming to the foot of the mountain and really entering into the world now in a real way, I'm encountering this question of belonging, and this has come up a few times. But this question, where do I belong, right? With these kind of authentic gifts, it almost sometimes feels like a puzzle piece that I can't really figure out where it fits. And what I'm really getting is that, first of all, it's not totally my/your responsibility to know where you fit. There's a larger kind of receiving of these gifts, and all you need to do, kind of your only responsibility in this moment, is to claim and claim and claim this deepest essence. And there's a woman who I work with, and I just adore her work. Her name's Ellen Elena, and I've talked about her a few times. She wrote The Silver Wheel, which is always at my side. It's one of those magical books that just opens you. And she said that this whole year of 2024, kind of the theme of it, which I found more and more to be true, is that, and I might be paraphrasing, but it's something like deepest essence equals greatest interconnection. And I love that because this whole year I've been challenged more and more to really claim what this deepest essence is of myself. And what I'm discovering is the more I claim it, the more I tune to it, the more I allow it to be kind of the presenting energy of my life, the more authentically and easily I'm able to relate with people. And a lot of what I'm going to talk about today is how we relate with people, because as Ram Dass says, relationships are a stinker of a yoga. And one of the things I've been working on is, especially after um, spending years in solitude, really deep solitude, which was necessary for me. This question of how to come into the world in an open and honest way has been really powerful for me, because um, there's also a level of that I'm kind of this is a bit of a front loading, you could say, of what I'm going to talk about later. But when it comes to moving in the world, collaborating, co-creating, right? There's this part of me that has always been a little bit, you could say, defensive or on guard or vigilant, because of the ways that within relationship I've been maybe taken advantage of in the past. That's one of the reasons I'm going to bring up this idea of cosmic justice and why that's a really big theme for right now. Um, but one of the things that I've personally discovered is that the aspect of myself that is actually most true, most enduring, and this may be true for you as well, is the aspect that's been most often kind of attacked or suppressed, or um, it's kind of also the area of my deepest wound. So you're going to find this, I believe, as you go into your deepest essence, you're going to find that it's very in that jewel, that pearl of claiming it. There's also going to be the moving into the area of your deepest wounding, right? And that's going to be a very powerful opening. And maybe you're already kind of, maybe you've moved around it, you've gone in a little bit, right? But this is a real time for us to move with gently, with compassion, with love, and with unerring firmness into that place of our deepest wounding, because that is also the place of our greatest liberation, because that is where our deepest essence resides. And one of the things you'll find, one of the things I found, is that, like, again, we're going to talk about the energy of the lion, right? This Lionsgate portal. What is this riven, light, empowered energy of the lion, right? And your sovereignty, your sovereign presence, whatever that is for you, however that expresses, will often be the place that you have been most attacked, because your sovereign presence doesn't play by the rules of anybody else's game. Your sovereign presence is in direct contact with source. That, what I call often the ultimate overrider. And the more you tap into that, the more those around you who aren't connected to that source are going to be threatened. And this may have happened even as a child, right? Oftentimes as a child, you express in some way, right, this powerful essence of yourself. And anyone around you who isn't comfortable with that, right, who would like it to be subdued, controlled, manipulated, right? You often will get the message that that deepest essence, that sovereignty, that inner power that you have, however that expresses, is wrong or bad, right? Or it leads to pain when it's expressed, right? All these things, right? And so this is why we're going to be today really calling in the energy of the lion to bring that forward without fear, and because that is going to be the place from which you have your greatest interconnection, from which you have those relationships that actually uplift and empower you versus attack, wound, and suppress you, right? So a simple question that I've posed a number of times, because as we're coming down from the mountain, we're meeting people, we're moving into the world more and more. this question of how am I anchored without resistance in my deepest essence, but also in relation. It's like, how do I stay in this essence and stay in relationship? And that's like kind of the ultimate question in some ways, right? Because if we're not anchored in that essence, that power, that sovereignty, we will be lost in kind of the larger milieu of what we're moving into, right? But at the same time, what I've been really instructed in lately is how to remain in that presence without also being super defensive of it. And that's a real big lesson for me. So I'm going to go into that more in a little bit. But so so this simple question could be, as I stand in what I feel is this empowerment, and it might feel a little strange, it might feel a little scary, and it might feel a little vulnerable sometimes, because this is the place that has often been most attacked, right? As you begin to stand in that place, you can hold yourself in that bearing. And I'm actually like on my shoulders back, like as I'm speaking. If you're watching the video, this is kind of a natural movement of that sovereignty of your shoulders coming back, that aura of power and presence. And then when you're in that place, who is supportive of you, who listens, who celebrates that, and then who is threatened, defensive, attacking, right? And it's a place to just be aware of that. It's a place to be aware of that. Because when you know you're standing in your full presence and sovereignty, right, that's going to be highly magnetic in some way. So let me talk for a moment about, I am going to talk for a moment about that. So especially as I'm writing my third book, which is about these principles of creation, and what's ultimately being created, this book is the kind of the outer being in perfect harmony with the inner, right? So that inner stillness, that inner essence, that inner light, and then eventually the outer life being perfectly reflective of that, right? That's kind of what this creation is in this book I'm writing. And as I've moved into the world, there has been a part of me that has been extremely vigilant and a little mistrustful of the kinds of relationships and the kinds of collaborations that I'm moving into. And that's been a result of having been, ignored, invisible, suppressed, taken advantage of in the past, right? And in taking full responsibility for that, there's been a part of me that has almost moved too far in the opposite direction of being very so the way this presented was almost as someone was kind of tuning in. I was working with, they're tuning in, they're almost seeing me like kind of like if you're watching the video, I've got my fists up like I was this kind of boxer, and I was going to be on the alert at all times, and anytime an energy came in that was not okay with me, I would bounce it back. Like I had this very springy, bouncy kind of almost shield around me that made it kind of impossible for those negative energies. Like it could take a beating, right? I was like prepared. I was like, I'm going into the world. I know that there's people out there who want to hurt me and they are not getting in this time, and I am ready for them. And so I'm going into the world, and what she was kind of showing me was that this kind of bouncy energy, this bouncy shield around me that would just immediately send back any negative energies, any projectiles. It was kind of impenetrable. It could take a lot of hit, right? It was very tough. And she was showing me that it's become time to kind of dissolve that. And this is the thing that keeps me safe, right? This is my self-advocacy. This is my, you don't get away with that in my life. Like, you don't get to come into my temple. It's almost like I was standing at the door. Instead of enjoying the inner space of my temple, I was standing at the door of it and being like, you don't get to come in. You don't get to come in. You're okay. You can't come in. Right. And I'm just like vetting everyone who shows up. And it takes a tremendous amount of energy to do that. takes a tremendous amount of energy. Energizing this kind of shield, this bouncy shield, took a tremendous amount of energy. And so, what we've been working on is really allowing that to dissolve and trusting that just the full light of my presence is enough. And the effortless light, that's the other thing, the effortless light of my presence is enough to kind of do all of that work without me having to be constantly kind of micromanaging it. All right, so that's where this comes up when I'm talking about when I'm talking about defensiveness or anything like that. That's where this is coming from. When I'm talking about this vigilance in relationships, like that's where all of this is coming from for me. To go back in the world, I thought, all right, it's time to put on it's time to put on the defenses again, right? But my innermost essence, what I'm learning to trust is that my innermost essence, my light, my presence, in its natural state, is enough to do that work for me. And that is a big leap of trust, right? Especially for anyone who's been silenced, abused, wounded, taken advantage of, right? To trust that is a really, really big deal, right? So that's kind of the threshold I feel like I'm personally at in this kind of Lionsgate portal here, in this new wave of cosmic creation, right? What is that going to take? What's going to happen in that wave? So a big part of this kind of micromanagey energy of like, you come in, you don't, I can kind of take a beating, I can take a hit, keep coming right down the mountain, right? That kind of thing. A big part of that I've been told and taught and shown is that my perspective is always going to be at a certain level limited, because and it's not that it isn't far more expanded than it's ever been, but when it comes to kind of the larger connections and co-creation of the whole of the totality, right? I am kind of a spark of perception within that. And so what I've been told and what I'm being offered is to trust that there is a larger, so this portal we're standing at the threshold of is an invitation to a larger wave of what I'm kind of calling cosmic justice. So, and it's not really maybe justice in the way that we think of it, like our mind conception of justice, right? Wronging rights, righting wrongs, or righting wrongs. I mean, that kind of thing, like at that level of the mind. When I'm asked is to really surrender that into this larger knowing, this larger wave of what the closest I can come to think of it is cosmic justice, but it really is a time of balancing. And so, and this is in relation to the way you've been living, the gifts you've been giving, right? And what I'm getting is that whether or not you believe in this, it's related to not just this lifetime, but many lifetimes, perhaps, of devotion to the light. And those of us listening have, if you're drawn to this, again, trusting in the magnetism. I keep getting told to trust in the magnetism. If you're here, if you're listening, very likely you have had not just this lifetime, but many lifetimes devoted to kind of your own divine light, whatever that means. And this is kind of the wave of balance for that. So perhaps you feel like you've given and given and given and given. And when you look around, you don't necessarily see the results of that other than a depletion within you. Or there's part of you that maybe feels like I should kind of maybe with everything I've done and given and devoted to and given up and surrendered in devotion to this path, it just doesn't really feel like, why are there still all these places in my life where it seems that others have been allowed to get away with things? You could think about all that, however you want to think about it, right? And what I'm getting is that the wave coming in it's so big that it's gonna wash all of those thoughts away. Like those thoughts won't even be present, because this is a powerful wave of cosmic creation and cosmic fulfillment. As we stand in this portal, the Lionsgate portal, as we stand in this threshold, ready to cross over into this new wave of creation, what's going to happen is that the larger movement the larger waves of receiving are coming in, right? So, what I was told is that every act of love, every act of devotion, every gift you've ever given, it's been noticed and amplified in the realms, the cosmic realms, you could say, like the heavens, however you want to think of it, right? Like every act of love, even if in the moment it doesn't seem reciprocated, even if in the moment it doesn't even seem to be noticed by those around you, right? It is noticed and received and amplified in the light realms. And what's been happening is that that light has been gathering within you. So the light of every act of devotion, the light of every act of surrender, the light of every act of love has been gathering and gathering and amplifying within you. Right? And we are about to reach a tipping point. Whew, and I'm feeling a lot of energy coming through as I'm speaking that. We are about to reach a tipping point where that light that's in gathering within, it's about to spill out into the world and become your material reality. Right? And that wave that's coming in is going to be amplifying. So your light spilling out, that light's coming in, and this cosmic alchemy is going to happen so that your life is suddenly transformed. This is what is happening now. So like all those little things, you could even say petty things, even if they seem really big, like this person, that person ruined my life, whatever, you know, like suddenly all that's just not going to matter because something so big is coming that's going to wash away all of that, right? And all your acts, all your light that's been gathering within you that maybe you haven't even seen, right? It's going to come into balance with the outer world, with your outer material plane of existence. So the invitation right now is to really relax into that knowing and allow this wave to kind of spill out from you into the world around you and continue to hold the faith in that light. So it's a real relaxation that's happening now, even as you're energized, even as you're aware, awake, like maybe you're feeling like waves of energy, right? There's going to be kind of this energy coming out and this relaxation inwards, right? So there's been this light gathering for a long, long time within you, right? And that's the message I've been getting. So very quick recap, right? Until and then I'm going to move into talking about the energy of the lion, kind of what we've all come here for, right? So we've got kind of this, I've come down from the mountain, I don't really know where I belong, right? I don't really feel like I fit. I don't see where I fit. I can't force myself to fit anywhere, right? The more, it's in some ways like the more I claim my deepest essence, the less I fit, the less I understand how my gifts fit in this world, right? So there's going to be perhaps like, and has been perhaps an extended period of that questioning. Where, how do I fit? It seems like the more I claim my authenticity, the more I don't understand how I'm supposed to move and be in the world because I don't see where I belong here. Right? So it's question of belonging. It can sometimes be bewildering. And the answer is to continue to claim your deepest essence and trust. Because where we stand now is on a threshold of pure light spilling from you into the world so that you become balanced, right? So the more you claim your deepest essence, the more you can trust that it's going to do the work for you of magnetizing the opportunities, the relationships that feel good, right? And you can start to let go of that micromanaging, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, standing up for yourself, constantly negotiating, standing up, right? Making sure everything's good. Like you can just start to relax more and more into your deepest essence and trust that that light that has been gathering and gathering and gathering within you is now going to spill out into the world. And it is going to be such a big wave amplified by this cosmic wave coming in, this portal we're on the threshold of, that we're moving through. It's going to be such a big wave that all those things that you had been trying to kind of micromanage within your own life are going to suddenly be revealed to be as small as they actually are. And they'll kind of just be taken care of. And this is a really big act of trust because up until now, I think many of us have had to learn that discernment, learn that self advocacy, right? And we've learned it. And now we get to let a larger, balancing, igniting force take over within our lives so that all the acts of devotion, all the acts of love, all the gifts we've ever given that haven't ever seemed to go anywhere, but they've been amplifying the light in the cosmos and amplifying our light within us, is now going to kind of come into this crescendo, spill into the world, and our lives will be changed. That's what's happening. And so what is the lion, right? So let's tune in right now to the energy of the lion because the lion is going to be a guide that brings us through this passage. So if we tune into the lion, the energy of the lion, right, we feel the dignity, the royalty, the power, the vibrancy, and also the grace and the beauty and that kind of ineffable feline relaxation. So the lion has all of it. The lion does not need to prove itself, does not need to defend itself, right? The lion simply rests in its powerful presence. The lion doesn't question its worthiness or its position, kind of as the ruler, as the queen, as the royalty, right? And within that comes this really powerful bearing. And I want you for a moment just to feel, when I'm talking about the energy of the lion, I want you to feel that in your body. What happens to your bearing itself as you tune in and allow yourself to be kind of infused with this energy of the lion? For me, I can feel like an opening in my throat, my shoulders come back, right? I also feel a deep relaxation and stillness in my belly, like my core, right? So maybe for you, you're feeling it in your body. It's this kind of simultaneous relaxation and empowerment all at once. Relaxation and vibrancy all at once. It's very cool. Right? And how does it change your bearing? This is going to be the way you move forward through this portal. This is going to be the way that you receive these gifts of light, this wave of light that's ready to burst in on through you and toward you and through you and around you. And this anchored dignity and power and this kind of bearing of royalty, it's also going to be the still anchor point that allows you to accept the changes that are going to be upon you as this light bursts in on your life. Because this is the ultimate energy of worthiness. And this light that is coming in is going to be nothing less than your birthright of what you deserve, of what you truly are, and the place, going all the way back to belonging, the place that you're meant to take on in the world, that you're meant to be. You're going to be moved and shifted and changed on this wave into the place where your gifts can be most amplified, whatever that means for you, right? And it might feel overwhelming in some ways. And if you're not anchored in that sense of worthiness and dignity, you might have to go through a period of resistance, but we don't need to go through that, right? When you're anchored in dignity, royalty, power, vibrancy, grace, beauty, relaxation, stillness, that bearing of royalty, right? You are ready to accept the magnitude of this light that's ready to burst in on you. Because you can understand that it's not that, although it's an act of grace, it's also responsive, and it's coming to you in response to the devotion, the love, and the gifts that you've given over and over and over again. And this is the new wave of creation that we're stepping into, actually, that we're allowing, right? It's this kind of time of amplification, confluence, and receiving of everything you've given coming back to you in this powerful wave of light that will change you and it will change your life, right? And so the big call right now is for you to remain in that bearing, trust that all those things around you that were frustrating you, that seemed like they weren't fair, right? All that stuff, you can trust that that is going to be washed away and risen in this light that's coming through this portal. So, claim your inner lion. Allow it to rise up in you and allow yourself to be in that bearing of royalty and dignity and grace and power. And you will ride this wave through this portal into the life that is fulfilling and that you are worthy of. Wow. Woo. All right. How's that for a Lionsgate celebration? Oh my gosh, this has been the 26th episode of When the Heart Leads. We are celebrating a year of traveling together and just looking forward to a whole year that's to come. And what a blessing upon us for this new year. Cosmic, powerful creation. I'm your host, Dr. Kate Newborough, founder of Books of Eden Publishing, author of 2 books so far, The New Eden Paradise Retold and Finding Home, a mystical memoir, which has recently won an award. And I'm working on my 3rd book, so stay tuned. If you'd like updates on any of that or on my work, you can go to my website, booksofeden.com. I currently am working now with people as a writing coach and editor, so if there's anything around bringing a book into the world that's calling to you, you can reach out to me. Yeah. It has been an absolute pleasure to connect with you all across time and space.